What is up, YouTube? All right, we're just gonna get started right now. Wanted to talk a little bit about. I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine about what happened the other day down in Washington. We didn't talk about it that day because we were preparing to do a live stream and we were running experiments and we didn't want to get distracted with political stuff. But I figured now that I have some free time and have kind of analyzed this a little bit more, I take a moment to talk about it a little bit and talk about some things. In any case, good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Renee. Hi, Bruce. What is up? People joining the live chat. I might post a Zoom link so we can get a dialogue going if people want to join in on the discussion with some of my followers and fans and stuff. So the video's on now. You can see. I was explaining this to a friend of mine about, like, he's like, how the hell did we get here? Like, who are these people? Where did they come from? Like, where's this Q thing? See this Q symbol that's all over the place? What is that all about? And what really happened here? And I want to kind of bring it all back to some of those things to like 3-4 years ago. We had this guy. I remember I had found this channel. This guy Jordan Sather. He had this channel that just came out of nowhere and blew up past a couple 100,000 viewers, and he started this whole he really was like instrumental in starting this whole QAnon and spreading this QAnon conspiracy thing, and of course he teamed up with these two other guys named David Wilcox and Corey Goode, and who spread all these conspiracy theories about the secret space program. You can't even find David Wilcock. Oh, is it David Wilcock? Yeah, David Wilcock. Sorry. Not X, it's CK. Anyways, this guy, he teamed up with this guy. He's been on Ancient Aliens, and he's one of the people I really dislike in the whole awakening movement. He's what I call or represents the false prophets. He's this guy that pretends to be this guru. In fact, there was this. I just saw an awesome video on it, and it was called by this woman named Teresa Llaneros. Let me find Teresa Llaneros, Divine Frequency, and she has this. She had this video talking about the gurus. I watched it, and it was about the gurus. Oh yeah, the paranoid conspiracy guru, and she does this whole video talking about. And she doesn't mention any of these people by name, but she gets like the stereotype, and she hits the nail on the head with who these people are and what they represent. They're like these people that like aren't on a journey themselves. They've already ascended and they're masters, and they have all these inside connections and sources that you can't know about, and they won't reveal and won't talk about, and yet have all this inside scoop on what's really going on. They started this whole David Wilcox, Jordan Sather, and like Corey Goode and these guys started this whole big conspiracy nonsense. They basically tried to create a conspiracy umbrella, blame it all on the Democrats, and make it this really far right-wing fucking crazy thing that came out of nowhere. I had a couple exchanges with this individual, Jordan. He'd done a couple videos on the secret space program and was ripping off a lot of my material to talk about secret space technologies, and none of the stuff that we've talked about here has been like legit proven out in a scientific laboratory. It's all just a history of experiments that real legit physicists and government scientists tried. All right, and they tried to build a lot of these machines. They tried to build mercury vortex drive engines and dope them with different materials with different spins, different isotopes and different elements with different spins to try to and they were analyzing spin quantum physics and stuff, and none of the stuff that Jordan Sather talked about, but he ripped off like 90% of my anti-gravity material to spread fake conspiracy theories about this secret space program. And I almost should have you know, I like to like let everyone license my footage and let everyone use it and use my material for their own research and stuff. But like, it made me think twice about that, because what this individual did with that information and the audiences that he reached, and what he was able to do with creating this QAnon movement and basically fostering it along with a lot of these other individuals. Of course, his account is gone. You won't hear people talking about him much and what really went on there. But this is key, I think, for people to understand what happened and what led up to what was going on here. And this QAnon conspiracy was also, I believe, you know, at least sponsored in part. The White House had to have known about this. Their press people had to have known about this underground Q thing. And they had been putting, you know, like Trump would wear a pin with a Q on it, or he'd hold a piece of paper that had Q on it or something, just as like this little thing that nobody would notice, but these QAnon people in this subculture would notice and think that it would, you know, identified with this underground brewing revolution that they were trying. That someone whoever this anonymous character was on 4chan, who was posting all this stuff and generated this whole thing that led up to this. It's really needs to be investigated by the community and by the government as well. Like we can't let this go down, especially with the media, because what the media is going to try to do is basically say that all conspiracy theories cause this, and conspiracy theories are dangerous, and therefore we should, you know, outlaw all conspiracy theories and anyone who talks about conspiracies and stuff. Because there was, you know, a lot of that element in the QAnon thing. But I really believe this was almost like, it's like almost like it had to have been engineered somehow. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like, what is up, everyone? I'm just going to jump back into the live chat and get this before I get like too carried away off track here. Marianne, let me just read some of these comments. I believe in David Wilcock. Marianne, you believe in David Wilcock. David Wilcock helped spread a lot of this QAnon nonsense, which led people to this event that happened here. And I think what a lot of these individuals do is they take conspiracies and they spread them under these umbrellas, and they really don't do deep research, but they claim to have good sources and they claim to be all-knowing, but they really just bullshit their way through it. And they have really good production, so people kind of go along with it because, you know, they have really well produced, really good imagery and stuff. So it's a shame that people you know, will trust it in those guys, and that that people even continue to trust in this whole thing. I've had people, you know, sending me this QAnon thing, like this is what's going down. It was gonna, you know, I thought it was gonna be a civil war, like Trump's gonna stay in office and refuse to like get out of office. You know what I mean? And not that if he had stayed in and contested the election, there would have been a civil war in this country, and it would have ripped the country apart. And I don't know. I think he realized that. They talked to him about it. He realized what he was doing. Wanted to put out a fight just to. I don't know. I think he wanted to just put the government in check somehow or something, but it doesn't add up. It almost seems like this whole QAnon thing, I've said it was just a bad apple from the start. All the people associated with this, you know, this white hats, this idea that this hope porn that they were selling, that disclosure is just going to happen, and, you know, we're going to, you know, work ourselves out of this mess. And that's not the case. I just want to keep reminding this community and people on the internet that this is not the case at all. There's not going to be this one day that the government's going to come out and reveal all these secrets. They don't even know all these secrets. Their top scientists are kept so classified and so like gagged that they're not able to get these ideas out, the ideas that could get us off this planet and save us from the disaster that, you know, we're facing right now as a country and as a civilization. Because there's a lot of problems that are led up to this that these people don't even understand, that you know, economic and social and injustice, you know, all these problems. A lot of it's social injustice because there's so many rich people that have everything, and then there's so many poor people that struggle every day just to make ends meet. And there's so many people that are sick of the inequality and stuff. But this QAnon thing is what set this off, organized it, and put this into motion. And this whole idea of these patriots thinking that this was a good idea. And I think we need to sit back as a culture and rethink, our strategy, because this did no good. This did nothing. I was, when it was all going down, I was so excited and so thinking what the hell is going on? Is like the government really going to get overturned? And is this QAnon revolution really going to rise up and force stuff out? And then I realized this is all just a ruse to make these ideas look dangerous. This is not how we need to go about this. We need to demand, there's no coordination. This is just chaos, man. It's just, these people have no concept of, there's so many different conspiracy theories and they have no concept of truth. There's no investigation. It's almost like we just need to force the government to do a couple serious investigations on a couple key conspiracies just to re-bring these things up. 9/11 is going to be 20 years, man. And I've always said that, at 9/11, a lot of stuff doesn't add up. I've done a lot of research into that case, identifying every single person in the government who could have been responsible for that. You can see some of the old videos. I won't take them down, and I'm just worried about the future of my channel and the future of me talking about things like that. What is going to happen? Look, I'm already so shadow banned and stuff. Anyways, yeah, let's talk about a whole bunch of other stuff with the frauds and liars in this community, because I don't want to get into too much detail, because this Jordan Sather's admitted he dropped out of college to pursue this QAnon stuff, and that's what he made him a lot of money, and then it also got him banned from the internet and got him in a lot of legal trouble as well. So I don't know what's going on with Jordan right now, but I I don't care much. He blocked me and wouldn't follow me. I tried approaching him and saying, why are you using my UFO material in your videos and not giving me credit and not really properly explaining this? Please get me on your show to allow me to properly explain some of this stuff to your audience and clear the air on some of this stuff. And he's like, no, you're a fucking CIA agent and you're disinfo. Go. Okay. And there's another one spreading rumors that the debunkers are disinformation, and that me being this debunker of element 115, that I'm somehow this CIA shill from the government, and a imposter scientist and a felon. He's saying all kinds of stuff about me, when in reality his poster child Bob Lazar is everything he tries to throw at me and says about me is he's just describing Bob. I just want to hold Jeremy Corbell accountable real quick, because he made a couple contradictory Twitter posts that I just want to make a really solid point on and then move on. He said that we have the technology from another advanced civilization that wasn't made here on Earth. Fuck government secrecy about the UFO presence on Earth. You have the right to know what your government knows and what they're hiding. UFO secrecy is horse shit. But there was also a Twitter post, if I recall, from Corbell saying that where's the post? Right here. Yeah. So he also said that on 11 where the heck is the one? I lost track of it now. Okay, so this is it. So he said on November 2020, right? If you go back on Twitter's Corbell from November 2020, you'll find that he said that Bob Lazar conveyed to me the details of the element 115 and potentially if he had some where he stashed it. So there's been multiple hints that Corbell and Knapp have dropped about, we have some element 115, we're hiding this stuff. We really have some of this element 115 and we're hiding it. And we don't want people to know about it, so on one hand, he's saying that UFO secrecy is horseshit, but on the other hand, he's using UFO secrecy to sell this Lazar story further and sell people more on horseshit. So anyways, I can't follow Jeremy Corbell because I'm blocked at their request, because I point out contradictions like this and he doesn't have answers and he can't handle it. and he loses it on me and says things that aren't true. So anyways, we'll move along. I made my point. Let me find out what else is going down that I wanted to talk about. Again, this is just mostly preliminary stuff. So there was that. Let me put that revolution back on. The QAnon stuff. Let me get back on the live stream. I want to read some comments. Yeah, David Wilcock has an estimated net worth of 1 million. I thought more. Yeah, that's amazing, dude. I just I don't know. Some Veracity Media said you were the best 9/11 researcher around. No, I wasn't. Kevin Ryan was. I was just basically like taking all his boring, poorly written articles and turning it into more entertaining, videos for people. That's all I did. I mean, I did a lot of good research into it as well. I can't be super overly humble. I wasted so many years on that. On 9/11 and Bob Lazar was all I researched for like a decade straight, bro. Like I guarantee you will be hard pressed to find people out there that have done the research that I've done and spent the time in the trenches that I have, debunking stuff and whatnot. Anyways, every person who posts that January 17th terror message, yeah, it's basically like they're gonna find out who to round up and put in the FEMA camps. Is all the people like calling for this revolution and causing violence and stuff. So this isn't the way out. All right, we're the greatest country on earth, and so what? Biden gets in there for 4 years. The whole Republican Party and the whole election process has been officially shattered. Like it's done. Okay, so that's the important part from this that we really need to take away from what's going on in politics and is the elections, right? The Republican Party, okay, has just lost like half of the voters, because there's so many people that are divided over the Republican and Democratic parties, the duopoly that's like ruled our electoral process for the past, decades and decades, since I don't remember the last time we had a different part, the Whig Party, back in the 1800s or something. Like we need a new party. Basically, there's going to be a new party, and a new party needs to emerge. The Republican Party is pretty much fucking dead. It's going to have a hard time to recover, and there needs to be almost like a new party that we need to start campaigning and finding a candidate and pressing now. And I just want to mention a couple people that I thought were good candidates from the underground last election. Brock Pierce was an interesting guy. Check out Brock Pierce. He's down in Puerto Rico, made a fortune on Bitcoin, and knows a lot about cryptocurrency, where the future of money is going, right? The dollar is like in uncertain future, and Bitcoin has just gone to what's it at now? Let's find the Bitcoin price chart. It's at 40,000, so it's over 40,000. It's jumped. It's past 40,000, bro. This is just the start of a takeoff. You'd make money if you invested in some of your money in Bitcoin right now, and just even if it drops a little bit short term, it's going to eventually replace, I think, a lot of currencies, and now now the thing is, I don't know whether that's a good thing, because the mining that requires, the energy that it costs to keep track of this money on these servers and stuff, it's there's been some interesting calculations that have been done by engineers and showing just how much data needs to be crunched and how much heat that produces and how much energy it costs to run those Bitcoin mining servers and stuff. And there's an interesting article on that. Let me find it. Yeah, I think it's called Bitcoin Mining and the Environment, Mining Pollution. No, it's not that. Yeah. there's a couple different blogs on this that you can read and stuff. But anyways, re-upload the last video, please. No, I'm not doing those. That was a bad one, man. I don't, no more angry rants and stuff, man. I need to be more collective, because I feel like people, I'm starting to learn that people judge. Oh, really? Brock Pierce is a child molester? I'll have to look into that. Anybody else have any other candidates that they liked from the other parties? I mean, who could we find as like a replacement candidate? I want someone that kind of understands technology and stuff. I had no idea about that. Whatever says, that's shocking if that's true, and if it's not true, that's even more shocking that you'd make such an allegation. But yeah. Yeah, we have to know that, this isn't a war that's going to be fought by a bunch of an angry mob just taking over the government, and this is a war of minds. This is a war of intelligence, and a war of thoughts, and a war against our emotions, because this is a war I fight daily. I get mad, and then I start flipping out and doing these angry rants, and my numbers drop, and people discredit me, and they don't want my credibility goes to shit. And so it's a daily battle with all of us, and this is where we're at. It's like a human battle for finding the right answers and finding the path out, and what the path is forward. So I want to talk about that real quick. Let's talk about the database that we've done. So the path forward that I've chosen. So I criticize a lot of these other people and the stuff that they're doing, because they're not doing it right. And I've instead said, look, I'm gonna show people how I think it should be done, and just do it myself, rather than sit here and criticize how everyone else is doing it. Lead by example. Don't lead by, you're barking up the wrong tree. I'm starting to learn more and more that it's like a complete waste of time. As funny as my Tom DeLonge song was, it's like, should I put the time into making a whole music video on that just to what's that going to accomplish in the long run if I do that, So I don't know. As funny as it was, I'll let someone else clip it up and put pictures to it all if they understand the lyrics and what I'm talking about and what's going on. But I want to talk about some cool stuff. So I've been doing all kinds of research in our database and finding all kinds of stuff. Just out of the archives, gravitational control research, everything on gravity, everything that I can possibly find on the physics of anti-gravity or gravitational control, we've been assembling. I have an awesome team, man. We have some of these great people that we've taken all the old timers, the Larry Reed, giant anti-gravity list and his anti-gravity book, giant book. Taking all the stuff from all these people that have contributed. We got Eric Davis, commenting in some of these emails. Now I reached out to him to try to get him on, to get him on record with me, saying, telling me something about, more about the Bob Lazar and the Zeta Reticuli 2 connection and some of that stuff, because I know he's got some more information on Bigelow and Lazar connections and some stuff that might be of interest to the UFO community. But I don't know if he really wants to talk about that stuff. He didn't seem super interested. He is really interested in talking about physics and how and engaging in the discussion of how to push this the field forward and the science forward, and where we're at right now. Realistically, not like where, people chasing down the Wilson leaks and Eric Davis meeting with this general to try to find, recovered alien technologies and stuff. Although there's some evidence for that stuff, you can go to ufoexplorations.com. This is a good, Anthony Bergali has got a ton of great stuff on the scientists and the metallurgists who allegedly, who claim told their family members talk about, they talked about a lot about UFOs and aliens and stuff, and guys that say that they handled like debris from flying saucers, and were analyzed it as part of these secret programs for a company called Battelle Memorial Institute, who I've talked about before. When I first started finding out about Battelle earlier last year, I was like, holy crap, these guys are, these guys are the ones. They control all of our national labs research. They have national laboratory management over everything that goes on in any of these labs. So basically they know it's the perfect place for the intelligence community to hide out in science, because it's just like you have an overview and an insight and management ability over every single one of the main national labs with all the best equipment. So if you got all the best labs and you know what everyone's doing, you can guide and hide certain research through your oversight. It's just the perfect place for all this stuff to hide. And I was getting like super weirded out by this, but the more I dig into it, I realize this is just this is a very human thing. And this organization, I don't really want to make them out to be like a super bad guy in all this, because they've done what any one of us would have done if we had recovered, off-world alien spacecraft and materials back in 1947. You really think about it. We had no idea what that stuff was back then. That's the research report I put together, and I talked about a little bit back then. Doing all this research into the physics to try to get a timeline going way back about who was developing what, and get any kind of possible credence to a secret space program. This is where I'm trying to look through the scientists to try to say, so if these guys, Jordan Sather and David Wilcox, say that all these physicists were involved in these secret space program studies and stuff, this is my this is what I study, man. I got into this when I was like 18. I read Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman, about Richard Feynman being recruited out of MIT at age 18 to go work on the Manhattan Project. And I was just hooked on, anything related to scientists working on classified, projects and stuff, and what the real science was, and learning about, why was this stuff classified? When was it classified? When did it get leaked out? There's tons of stuff going back. But this is just everything that I found directly related to the UFO file, and anti-gravity or propulsion. I tried to keep this one on the UFO file and keep it really, the Roswell intelligence report was what I originally titled this, because it started off as a discussion of Roswell and the materials and all the witness descriptions of the materials that were recovered from Roswell, and then tracing out, where those materials went, who claimed to have access to them, and then, all the way down to Battelle, where these materials wound up being, studied by the number one scientific metallurgy institute in the world, or in the U.S. at least at the time. I'm not sure if they were the biggest in the world, but they had certainly some of the best experts in metallurgy and material science and stuff of the time. But even they realized in 1947 that hey, we need an air force. Airplanes are still pretty new technology. Vandenberg, he sent the Ramey memo allegedly. He was the guy that started the space program. Basically, he started the orbiter project, and these are the guys that sealed the Pandora's box. They realized we weren't ready for it. They went to these underground tunnels, we believe, at what is present-day Wright State University. It was studied by Battelle Memorial scientists, I believe, who went to work at this building right here. And a series of other buildings which were constructed entirely for the purpose of analyzing and figuring out what that debris was, and trying to figure out how we could get from where we were in 1947 in terms of technology in our economy and our production, industrial, and cultural and everything, to how we get to whatever this stuff is. And tell you what, they've been doing it in secret. It's been highly classified. It's been hard as hell trying to trace back little bits of pieces of information. If any of this is true, of course, they deny that they had a blue room with these materials were kept, to Senator Barry Goldwater, and then later admitted, oh yeah, we had those materials, but they all were destroyed, and just for routine record keeping, as happens so many times when people trying to trace this real classified stuff. But I go through all the scientists really and try to identify them and all their connections all the way up to the present day stuff, and I really have not found the evidence for this, secret space program. And, I found them a lot more interesting science and learning about, what they learned when and how the science works. The ability of the SEM imaging microscope to zoom into really, really fine detail on these crystal structures and these materials, and then realizing that, holy crap, this alien technology is literally built atom by atom. This 5D crystals and crystal storage and all this stuff. And we kind of understood some of this stuff and had some insights into this guy Walter Schottky, and German scientists that developed the transistor and stuff that Corso claimed was recovered alien technology. But really there's a lot of rich history about what they tried to do, create a space program, starting a space program, the history of them trying to develop these materials in space, certain alloys that could only be made in space. They realized they needed a zero gravity environment to even create some of these alloys that they had. And so mission was to try to get to space so they could start experimenting with some of that stuff in secret. And there's been a ton of research that we found going back through the archives into all kinds. We found all this stuff on. So let me get into the database and start really getting into that, because you guys are gonna enjoy that. Boom. So here's the database shared with me, and this is the ET engineering folder. My. We have so much stuff. So one guy was asking, because would it be possible to put plasma around the craft and then shoot the plasma off and make propulsion that way? And I was like, yeah, but it won't work in a vacuum. And there's a whole field of research on that. It's called magnetohydrodynamics. And here we have every scientist who ever worked in the field of magnetohydrodynamics and links to all their research and stuff, starting with Louis Roda in 1913. He had a very interesting series of coils that he wrapped and did in a certain arrangement, and built a airplane, built a flying frame, like an open frame aircraft that had electromagneto coils around on all over it that would produce plasma on the craft and basically lift it. They described it as this Jules Verne machine. If you look up Louis Roda, you can find that on Rex Research. Rex Research, you guys should download. This guy's site might not be up forever and stuff. There's a lot of great materials on here if you're just doing data, just trying to get, some background on anti-gravity research and stuff, and propulsion research and technologies. This is a really great really great resource site with a lot of great information. So talk about the Roda block, these, him doing experiments with, magnetohydrodynamic coils and just some of the earliest stuff. They built an airplane with these things. This isn't like 1913 and stuff. People don't even know about this crap. We're digging through it. We have so much stuff in this database. It's really that's nothing. There's we have all the Earth Tech stuff. So everyone talks about Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis and stuff. I have all their pretty much all their papers. Trying to get a couple more papers from Eric right now that are harder to find, but I don't. Of course, I won't be able to publish a lot of this stuff. Won't be able to be published openly. This is kind of like. A lot of this stuff came from behind other people's paywalls for information as well. combined from a lot of different researchers and archivists who have been compiling this stuff for years. And we're inviting, other people to share their information and get access to our information to we're basically trying to create, this is the world's largest scientific technical database on UFO and propulsion related information, and combine those two. So yeah, that's not a good idea, and that's not a good step in the right direction. I don't know what is, guys. So so anyone who wants access to the database, like you're gonna have to buy an 8 terabyte, portable drive. There's a micro center right near New Jersey. If you I don't know. You'll have to meet up with one of the people around that have it. If you get in contact with me, and I can put you in touch with someone who might have access in your area, because we're trying to make other points of access to people, to make other people have access to this database, so that we can spread it around even more to the right people that really need it and do the research. So anyways, hyperspace geometry, so magnetizer. So we got a lot of stuff. Let me see. NASA, we have a whole bunch of NASA stuff that's been declassified NASA stuff, including solenoid plasma cores and radiation shields. These things that were supposed to be used for shields, but they could also be multi-purposed for propulsion and stuff. This is crazy stuff from NASA. Anyways, lot of interesting stuff in these files, man. This is like the jackpot. This is so much of this stuff is been so hard. It's so hard to find. It's like you don't even know that it exists. It was declassified like 30 years ago, but it's been sitting in this one library at the like this one research institution, and that one guy. You have to I don't know. There's people that go around and find this stuff. They find out these names of these. It's all about human intelligence, really. What I found is it's human, what's called human intelligence, right? Or hummant, right? That's most of what I do in tracking down sources. Is tracking down, human intelligence. Is finding out who the scientists were, who they're talking to, who they're working with, and who they're coordinating with, just through basic scientific research. And this is something that most people can do, but not a lot of people do it. They read the articles and think that's the research, right? So this is where how you can do scientific research and start getting more technical and into this stuff if you want to. When you find an article like this where it's talking about something that you don't really even understand probably right yet. So most people don't. But this is surface plasma on polaritons, and it's I found this just through doing research on different stuff. And you go into Nature Physics, published this date, and that's the paper, right? You find the paper. This is the source. You go down to the bottom and you find the sources. And then you plug that source in, right? And you find out where that is. All right, so we can find this paper. Let's find the paper. There's the publication. This looks like publication. So you get the PDF. All right, so you go find the publication, you get the PDF. This is how you do real scientific research. I mean, beyond just human intelligence research. This is the human intelligence part of scientific research, because these people are doing the real scientific research. Let me be clear. These are the scientists doing the real scientific research. What I do is mostly like human intelligence for the most part. Is just identifying, who these people are, and then tracing down, oh, where'd you get your ideas? Well, here's a list of everywhere that they got their ideas, and there's the author contributions right here. Here's the references starting, in numbered order. And this is where you do your research, and you find, well, this looks interesting. What is that? And you go and Google this, and you go through, and you keep going through until you know what all this stuff is, and you know who all these people are. And that's pretty much, where people need to get with their research if they, really want to learn real information and understand stuff and know that science is not just, some freaking gobbledygook mess of, nonsense that, the conspiracy has been pushing on us through academia for generations and generations, and they're all just misled and have no idea, and you should just drop out of college and follow, prophets on the internet who'd also dropped out of college and are, I don't know. this is where people need to get, and it's just a shame that people don't do better research and aren't more into this kind of stuff. And of course, you can learn a lot about the science in the process of this too. It's not just that's the human intelligence side, is tracking down the scientists and then figuring out, who's working on what. And then, but you also can't just do that human intelligence side of that without some understanding of the science, right? You have to be like, oh, what is this? What does this mean? What is exciton polaritons in 2D lattice geometries? And what are these different keywords, and what do they mean, and which ones are important for what I'm looking for. So there is some, there is a good, I can't just say it's all human intelligence, the work that I do, because there is a bit of having to conceptually understand and grasp the topics that are being discussed and are at hand. But this is where the real interesting stuff is. If you want to talk about those nano-layered skin coatings and stuff, that they want to wave this crap in your face with these metamaterials, arts parts. We wrote that Tom DeLonge song about this metamaterial with the terahertz frequencies that's supposed to levitate when you shoot terahertz at it. And when it came time to bring the terahertz in, they said, "Oh, we don't have terahertz. We got to give it to the U.S. Army because they're the ones who have terahertz." When there's plenty of other labs out there that have terahertz, and they could have been a lot more specific and a lot more like direct and open to the public, rather than like, "Oh, we're just going to give it back to the military and let them tell you what it is." I was really, really upset about that when TTSA and Lou Elizondo and the Adams Project and whoever else was involved with that did that. That was just like, really? You can't tell us anything about the science? Like, I can go look this stuff up. I've been researching metamaterials and this type of physics for, quite a while. I don't understand why they had to be like, all this mystery about it. But apparently, let's describe a little more detail about what happens here in these materials when you shine the terahertz at them and what's going on. So you can go and check out. I was doing a lot of research into this polarizable vacuum approach to general relativity, which I found back in I found this back in 2009 when I was doing research into the Stan Romanek UFO case. He had these mystery equations that supposedly were given to him by aliens that he wrote down through regression. And these mystery equations that Stan Romanek had, I was able to trace down and trace back to the source being this paper. Just by a little bit of research with the functional forms of the equations that he was using and stuff, I realized that there was, this was they were talking about a refractive index that's variable. Okay, so they take like your normal refractive index, the speed of light is so you have this electric permittivity and this magnetic permeability of the vacuum, which are these two separate constants, mu naught and epsilon naught in physics. And if you take the electromagnetic wave equation, you can derive the speed of these electromagnetic waves as being 1 over the square root of mu naught epsilon naught. And that's the speed of light. That's what the speed of light is defined as, and these are the equations which describe the time variation components of the electric and the magnetic field, according to Maxwell's equations, the accepted theory of electromagnetism and stuff. Of course, there's a little bit more to Maxwell's equations than we know, as we know. So I have APEC. Who's the guy who's the guy that presented at APEC that did the whole review of the equations for us? I gotta find this. Hold up. Oh, there I am live. I think it was APEC number 2, I believe. Yeah, it was APEC number 2. And where's the guy that went over Maxwell's equations in detail? I think it was Richard Van Durek that did this. Here it is. So yeah, if you want to go through the whole magnetic field thing, go to this right here, and go to about 2 minutes and 40 seconds, I believe, 2 hours and 40 minutes. Sorry. Let me find it. Let me find the exact timestamp that it starts. I think I have it in here somewhere. I should put it in. But anyways, I'll go link to that. This is the video. You guys can go and check out that other derivation if you're interested in the Maxwell's equations stuff. There's so much data and information that we're sharing and getting to come forward. Of course, the terahertz stuff, if you want to learn more about the terahertz optics research and that kind of stuff, I have a video that I did about that right here. We have the David Alzafan experiment. This is a real interesting one. This is one of the more promising experiments that we've come across for testing anti-gravity, and seems to be really on the money of where I think they had the eureka moment in their, because I believe there are groups that knew about some of these materials that were they know about these UFOs. They know about these materials that were recovered from them, and they're trying to reverse engineer them in some of these groups within the government. And I really feel like when this Alzafan thing came along, and they were like, this whole idea of using quantum physics and these spin alignments and these statistical way of thinking of things in terms where you can get macroscopic quantum effects. And that's a cool part of this. Macro scale quantum effects. Basically, you get condensed matter physics. You get things resonating in together. You can get some interesting physics results. So that was the whole idea behind the Alzafan experiment. A little bit. It's a degree of trying to create a condensed matter state. Now, the first Bose-Einstein condensate, that Alzafan thing was back in the 80s. So you really want to look at the first Bose-Einstein condensate was in 1995. That's when they actually, took the data and said, we've confirmed that we've actually, created a condensed matter state in these rubidium atoms. So they did. This is basically how they did it. They took these 3 beams of light, one on each axis, and used that to trap and cool a bunch of rubidium atoms. So they get this. They shine these lasers, and they get it creates like this vortex where these rubidium atoms are trapped, and then they kind of condense that shell around the rubidium atoms, so they have nowhere to move, so they're forced to cool down. And when they're forced to cool down, they start bouncing around, and they eventually get on the same wavelength. They reduce to the same de Broglie wavelength, or the same matter state. And this is kind of what Alzafan was envisioning, almost doing in this experiment using, Lamore precession and nuclear magnetic resonance, similar to an NMR or EPR machine. The way that, we can use magnetic fields to kind of align these things. So while they were able to do it successfully with a laser, so he thought he could do it with magnetic fields, and they tried it, and I think they might. I'm not sure if I've heard mixed reports. I've heard that some gun guys tell me that the Alzafan experiment was successful, and that the results are still classified for the replications that were done. Which we don't have any access to those kind of files. We just have access to David Alzafan's stuff that he had from his father, Frederick Alzafan, who was the originator of all this. And also David has another brother as well. There was some confusion about that too. But so Frederick Alzafan was the one that basically thought this up, this way of getting spins aligned with magnetic fields. But then we have scientists actually doing it in the laboratory in 1995. And then the way they did it is they used lasers. And this is interesting because this research kind of, I have a whole thing of, squeezed light generation and creating squeezed states, which is something a little bit different. But it's a way of condensing light and creating condensed light. It's similar to condensed matter, but it's condensed light. And this happened in 1985. They made 84, 85. They made a big, it was actually in the summer of 1985. They made a big breakthrough on creating the first squeeze states, or this coherent light, in the laboratory. So coherent light was created 10 years before coherent matter. So they were able to do coherent matter in 95, coherent light in 85, if you look up this. Now, this is super interesting because this is where I think the physics of UFOs really work. This is where I know for a fact the government's current classified research into how they work is investigating this type of phenomenon, this type of stuff. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the technologies and stuff too, and get in depth with where's the page? So, okay, this was a cool thing. Graphene amplifier unlocks hidden frequencies in the electromagnetic spectrum. So sandwiches and these layers, they're finding all kinds of things out about, what happens at the interactions of these boundaries and these layers. And if you place the layers in conjunction near each other in the right way, the types of boundary conditions that are set up. And all the really interesting things that can be done with them, such as invisibility cloaks, and phase conjugate mirrors. Phase conjugate mirrors are super interesting. They're like a mirror that bounces off in whatever direction. It's like a mirror that no matter which way you look at it, you always see your reflection. It just bounces off at the incident angle. It reflects back at that same angle. And I showed that interesting video with the phase conjugate mirror. And they show like it's basically can be done image resolution. Amazing image re-resolution can be done through these kind of phase conjugate mirrors and these techniques. I thought this was super awesome. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. This was done. Of course, this was talked about in 1982. They were working on this. Jack Feinberg and it was working on this in optics with barium titanate and stuff. So barium titanate, as you know, there's a ton of research that was done on barium titanate crystals and different types of barium titanate back in the 80s and even further. Area 51 was researching barium titanate and its interesting properties way back. I wish I could find more documentation on this and stuff, but I guarantee you that's all inside of EG&G's files. EG&G was the contractor mainly working on that stuff. But the barium titanate was actually used in a variation of the paint for the F-117. And also the paint that was on the black paint is barium titanate, a special type of barium titanate crystal, which has these phase conjugate and weird radar reflection properties. You know what I mean? So it's hard for them to locate these things. There's also some interesting stuff that about phase conjugate mirrors and their use in microwave propulsion. You know, that LTI, the Lightcraft. That Lightcraft video I posted with Leek Mirabeau and the research they were doing. They have that giant, thing that looks like the gimbal. It looks just like the gimbal in the gimbal video that was flying around. It's kind of been like lost to history a little bit. Was talked about way back in the 80s. They had it on this. They had it on this channel. This TV show on called Future Fantastic. It was a TV series from 1996 with Gillian Anderson from the X-Files. It was like an X-Files spinoff. It was actually hosted by her, and it was talking about the future and the world to come. And Leek Mirabeau, I looked him up on IMDb, and this came up, which I thought was super cool. So I'm like, this is obscure X-Files thing from the 90s that was around and then disappeared off the face of the planet. Alongside, there was another TV show called That's Impossible. It was a television series on the History Channel that examined some seemingly impossible technologies based on stories and inventions in history, and it detailed exactly what was needed to turn them into reality. It was premiered in 2009. This was not in the 90s. It was about 10 years ago, and it was narrated by Jonathan Frakes. It talked about invisibility cloaks, real Terminators, like robots like Boston Dynamics shit with machine guns on them. It talked about, weather warfare. It talked about, like the annual May parade where the jets fly over and all of a sudden the sky clears up in Moscow for the parade every year. They can see the clouds and manipulate the weather, and there's a lot of technology, warfare technologies that have been investigated and tried into using weather warfare and stuff. Eternal life, the idea of reversing the aging process through genetic therapy and different stuff. Death rays and energy weapons, going back to Tesla's death ray, and different types of directed energy weapons, including laser cannons, masers, and microwave lasers, including some that are operable. What about active denial systems and stuff? I wonder how much they really went into this, because there's a lot of misinformation and misconceptions out there about what these weapons can do and especially their energetic capabilities. I don't think people understand the energy. They think they just have free energy. They can just, make as much energy as they want. But that was a real big problem if you go back into the, with the Star Wars research that they did in SDI and the engineering. If you really dig through the nuts and bolts of the engineering challenges that they ran into with the directed energy systems that they were developing for the Star Wars defense program, you maybe understand that a little more than the Judy Wood people. Yeah. Mind control. I'll look into the mind reading and control, including the possibility of communicating with people using only their minds with brainwave transmission technology and computers which can read people's thoughts. All that really interesting stuff, all related to, a lot of it related to things that were mentioned in those 32 articles, supposedly from the DARPA list that, we got from supposedly related to the ATIP that ATIP was studying. Of course, I laughed at that list of 32 papers as I have, with the database that I have, and I see when I saw like them, this is disclosure. Look at these 32 papers. I'm like, you guys have no idea. And I laugh, and then like people like accuse me of like just talking shit. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm not. I'm sorry you believe this. Like, I'm sorry you think I'm a CIA shill. I'm really, like, it hurts. The stupidity really hurts. In any case, it doesn't, it hurts so bad, it gets me furiously mad sometimes. And that's where you get me on one of my bad days when I'm here on a freaking rant. I got to get some people on, man, all right, so Brian Kelly, what is up? I'll read your comment no matter what it says. Does the mirror absorb and emit or merely twist a return single? Think about that one while looking at Einstein's clock tower. Ooh. Weird, man. Yeah, right? It's just twisting the return signal. Oh, man. What is up, people? I'm reading chats now, so if you got a question for me that you posted above, just repost it right now, because I if I didn't get to your question before, repost it right now, because I'm going to be reading the chats for the next minute or so. We got 91 people in the audience. That's pretty healthy for a stream on Saturday afternoon. Most people are still probably sleeping, just waking up. Oh my God, AlienScientist is on. He's streaming. Have you guys tried any experiments with mercury? Back in 2009, I was working with a guy that was messing around with some mercury, but it was really crude, and I was just we didn't really get into the kind of detail or the experiments that I really wanted to do with that. Dude, I've been trying to talk to Dark Journalist and get on his channel. I was in the live stream on his show from last night, talking about X technologies and some stuff. I've been sending him some interesting stuff. I want to get more in depth on the that Vannevar Bush and the John Trump connection, because DJ seems to think that Don's uncle had all the Tesla papers and all the good. He's got the real UFO anti-gravity file, but I disagree. I think that file is locked up at Battelle, and has been since before 1947. So for that distraction, but you brought up Feynman's books and then mirrors with photons in the middle. Yes. Feynman's books. There's a lot more books on. Surely you're joking, Mr. Feynman was the book that I brought up, but there's really a lot better books by Richard Feynman. My favorite one is 6 Easy Pieces and 6 Not So Easy Pieces. That's 6 Easy Pieces, and then 6 Not So Easy Pieces. This one's like the best. If you want to get nuts and bolts. I mean, they get the Feynman lectures on physics are awesome. I have them on PDF in our archive. You'll get those included with the database. If you maybe I should just sell copies of I don't know. It's hard for me to do that. I have to do that like underground. I can't be doing that. I can't really just directly like sell copies of this stuff on my website because I could get in trouble. But I mean, if we get people involved and you send me the money to get like for the shipping and the hard drive and stuff, I'll send you the copy of the database. That's, I think, the best way we can work it out is just find the people that are really interested in having access to the data and the information and doing it that way, to get the database out to more people. But yeah, the database is one half of it, and then it comes down to replications in the labs that we go through the database and we try to build this stuff and do it. So Bob McGuire in the Sky Hub. Bob McGuire is on Twitter, and I talked to him quite a bit. I'll have to get Bob on. I gotta get more of these people on my on shows to talk about this stuff. In fact, if Bob's in the audience, anyone in the audience, that maybe I'll open up the call to get some people on here, and we can have a little fun impromptu session, because I was hoping that there was going to be an APEC conference today, and got a hold of Tim Ventura, and I didn't hear anything back on the status of that. I haven't got any emails about no APEC conference. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait till I think the next one's coming up next Saturday. That should be a lot of fun. We got some good guests coming on. Trying to get more people to. Tim Ventura is the perfect dude for that. Tim's run American Anti-Gravity. This is one of the sites that got me into researching a lot of this stuff way back in the day, 16 years ago, when he was like one of the only ones around doing this. And Tim Ventura is a great moderator. He's a good person for the job, and just trying our best to. So far, Cloud Poher has been the only one to replicate the Podkletnov experiment successfully, and so we're trying to take a lot of notes from him and his setup. Would love to get. Again, we're trying to get all these people to come on at the APEC conference so that we can get the whole team of engineers to really pick their brains on this stuff and ask a lot of technical questions that are outside the normal questions that you'd see on interviews. So anyways, yeah. Did you get the guy from Tachyon Aerospace any questions? We did get a chance to talk to Robert O'Keefe. I have that recorded. I wonder if I should. I can't really do it. No, I can't go into that. I don't want to violate anybody's trust that I get into when I get access to these people. I don't want to be known as that guy, dude. I'm not here to spill the beans completely on all your stuff unless you want me to. That's what I'm here for, and I'm gonna give you guys, and I'm gonna give you credit once we have the goods and it's out there, man. You will get credit. I'm just in this for the show and really to for the confidence and factor, and bringing people out of the woodwork and showing them we can't be scared anymore. We're going to die on this planet. The great filter is going to filter humanity right out of existence, bro, with the way that we're going right now and everything that's happening in this world. Humanity is going to get filtered right out. The storming of the Capitol, man. This is cue that footage in the background, right? We need to focus on replicator level tech. Any other method for building any sort of tech is like using a sledgehammer to brain surgery. Yes, Thomas Anderson. It's like kind of like what we're doing in the lab so far is like, I feel like it's almost been like a sledgehammer to brain surgery. It's really just bulldozing the path to get some experiments done that have been done in the past. We've done a really great job of, identifying all these little details and specifications in these experiments and working out the nuances and really explaining those out to people. I just wish that I could make, when it's all over, I'm going to start, in the next couple of months here, I'm going to start making like breakdown videos going over all the experiments we've done and really explaining everything out and stuff. And yes, okay, so Noah said, will you be able to review one of my devices for me? Yes, that's exactly what we want to set up with our laboratory, man. We want to set up a place to basically a place to, we want to set up the lab down at Falcon Space as this replication, headquarters, where people can bring their experiments down, their, devices down and show them off. Because I guarantee you this, if this shit's real, then someone figures it out. They're going to have a device out there and they're going to want a place to go and show it that they know is like the legit spot for this, that they're not going to get shut down. They're not going to get, it's not a trap. And I think I've established myself as someone who's not working for the government, who's completely outside of, all this stuff, is trying to fight for truth and, understanding of this goddamn messed up world we're living in, and that they'll, know that we're legit and genuine in what we're doing. And that will be a safe haven, a safe place for these people to come forward with information where they know, like, we may not have like the greatest level of exposure completely right now because of the shadow bans and everything. But I do have some big names in my network potentially that I could contact if we, and honestly, if we get something successful and it works, dude, it's gonna blow up and it's gonna go viral because the people are here waiting for it. I get the skeptics out there that are like, oh, these guys will never do it, and this, he's doing it all wrong and whatnot. And hey, that's fine if you have constructive criticism and stuff, and or if you're doing even better if you're doing something on your own, because I get a lot of people like, oh, you're not doing anything, and you're just you're making this all look stupid. And I was like, well, what are you doing, dude? And like, please tell me, like, I'm just having fun with it and just doing it because it's what needs to be done and no one else is doing it. You know what I mean? That's why I'm doing it. And then, you know what? I don't care. I've been trying to do the best job I can. I should care more. I should be trying to do a better job with the live streams and just putting the information together and setting that up. And that's what we're going to start doing here. The working on the website, getting all this stuff together. That's my goal for 2021, really, is to get all the information organized, thoroughly like sorted out, and just put up where people can get access to it in an easy way. And that's pretty much Todd Desiato. Did Todd say something in the comments earlier? I saw a comment from Todd and I want to make sure I get to that. Yeah, Todd Desiato's got the right idea. I was right about to get into his stuff before I got sidetracked before, yes. So about these skin coatings and stuff and how that works, Todd Desiato has taken, all that stuff on polarizable vacuum and quantized inertia and, not quantized inertia, that's Mike McCulloch's theory. He's doing the M drive, that guy over there, that M drive thing. But these skin coatings, basically it's optical effects, and it's creating nonlinearities in the vacuum energy density, and then using those to warp space in a manner that, correlates with the power dissipation that it is what gravity is, and the loss of your potential energy to the environment. And Todd Desiato is he was one of the physicists I found out there doing the research into this, going through the papers and going through, who are the co-authors, who's working on what, who's involved in this and knows what's going on with this. And I found Todd Desiato's work through Hal Puthoff and Bernard Haish. And you can find Todd Desiato's channel. Here, is this it? Warp Drive Tech, right here. So this is Todd's channel, and it's called Warp Drive Tech. And here's a link to Todd's I'll give him the updated one, Todd, because that's the 2016 one, and I really think you doing it a lot better in your newer ones. So guys, go check out Todd's channel and subscribe to Todd right now. He's doing his own videos and his own experiments. He's got his own lab too, where he's doing his own experiments. Really cool stuff. This guy is a godsend, and he's a pleasure to have this gentleman on our team helping us out. I couldn't have asked for a better mentor and advisor who really understands the theoretical physics of how to make this thing work, and is working and on a level where you can work with the engineers to actually build stuff in the lab. Really gives me a lot of faith in the future of the project. So thank you, Todd, and please go check out his work. This guy's amazing. He's yes, definitely. Whoever says you're being stupid lacks an inner intelligence filter. Dude, like, exactly. There's so many people that did stupid inventions, like Louis Rodas. You could call him stupid, right? But was he really stupid? He had an idea, and he set out to try it. And yeah, it was crude. His airplane looked like, where's the picture of that? Look, yes, it was super crude. His airplane looked, ridiculous. Okay? For lack of a better word. But at least he tried. At least he it's about, paving the way. It's more about showing people what doesn't work and where the path forward is. I feel, than anything else. It's if I got to be an example of that, of what not to do, then so be it. I'll be that guy. I'm not afraid. Anyways, a lot of people have been that guy. Speaking of that guy, let's talk about Eric Lathwaite, who invented the maglev in 1962, and then chased anti-gravity for the rest of his career. With magnets and rotating bodies. That's what he chased for. Generate and inspired a whole bunch of other people like Dr. Myron Evans and Sandy Kidd to pursue that line of torsion physics research. And it's now, is it stupid? Kind of, maybe. But, it wasn't that stupid because it had to be tried in order to determine that it was wrong. You know what I mean? So it's gravity's not an easy puzzle. It's a really tricky bitch. And I thought this was really cool because it talks about gravity in terms of waves and driving forces. And it says that gravity fades out. It doesn't really affect things on the atomic scale. It's only like bigger things where gravity comes into play. And the bigger and more complex a system is, the more gravity it seems to have. And that seems to correlate with, individual entanglement interactions. So the more entanglement, right? So the more molecules and more atoms you have in a system, the more entanglement you have. And so the more entanglement you have, the more mass goes up. So I tend to like, I got into entanglement theories of physics through Ken Griggs, who I met in 2017, right after I did a thing on Stephen Wolfram, the guy who's doing the all that hypergraph stuff. He wrote an article called "What is Space-Time, Really?" And I had read this article and I was like, oh my God, this kind of nails it. He's talking about, space-time as being, chunky space rather than this infinitely differentiable membrane, like calculus makes it. They said, well, there is a calculus, but it's based, we have a dx, and we have an actual, a spacing for dx, and a definition now for what dx is. Dx isn't just this, limit as it approaches zero type of function. And so it's a whole new idea of thinking about geometry and thinking about space in terms of, chunks of matter involving networks and in these graphs and stuff. And I was like, this has got to be it. There's got to be something that's, I'm like, Wolfram's onto it, man. I know he is. I know he's going places with this theory. And that's when Ken Griggs came along and started introducing me to that whole Phoenix theory model of particle physics and how to get particles from all this these graphs and stuff. And he's come up with like a whole way to get the whole particle map. And it's really interesting. So far, a lot of it works, and it's not, and it's nobody really, I've never found anyone who's really looked into it and told me anything like more about it not working and stuff. And we're going to get Ken back on, I think, this month and in APEC. I told him I'm going to give him a couple, I want him to present at APEC and talk about, more about that to get him back on. So hopefully we'll get Ken back on for one of these APEC conferences to talk more about that theory, that particular theory. But I thought it was interesting because this chunky space notion of the universe, and how entanglement relates to that. So he introduced me to quantum entanglement. There's a guy named Eric Verlinde. He's got a bunch of really cool theories on gravity. If you're looking for entanglement theories on gravity, does gravity even? He says it doesn't exist. He has a whole new, black holes, gravity, and the edge of the universe with Eric Verlinde. This is really good stuff if you guys want more nuts and bolt physics on what gravity could be and gravity stuff. There's also Mark van Ramsdonk, who's got a bunch of cool videos on entanglement and gravity, and here he is talking with Leonard Susskind. Really cool stuff. Leonard Suskind's now looking more into these kind of entanglement theories of quantum gravity and the ER equals EPR kind of approach to the puzzle. And he's kind of thrown away string theory. He says string theory is a dead end. It's just the wrong way. And there's another way to resolve these quantum non-locality and these big problems in physics currently. So yeah, that's super interesting too, for anyone that's interested in that kind of stuff. Again, there's Gravity Research Foundation. I guess they're up in. We should try to write a paper that we can put together to publish and try to get this Gravity Research Foundation award, because they've been awarding a lot of papers to people that are doing research into gravity and stuff like this, and they've number of their winners have gone on to win Nobel Prizes and stuff. So this is like interesting stuff, man, where gravity's at. So another guy, Kip Thorne, would be worth mentioning. American physicist known for his contributions to gravity and theoretical physics. And Kip Thorne worked on a lot of statistical and theoretical models for space-time and these, and also has theoretically predicted the existence of universally anti-gravitating exotic matter, the element needed to accelerate the expansion rate of the universe, keep traversable wormhole stargates open, and keep time-life geodesic free-float warp drives working. So, not really well known or talked about his warp drive stuff, but it there it is. These are the top theoretical physicists, top theoretical physics scientists out there, and they're talking about this stuff. They're thinking about it. They're doing research on it. And guaranteed, there's more to that research than the public is allowed to know. So, just letting people know this is what's on the table for disclosure this year. lots of information we need to be putting together in the proper way, and educating ourselves and others on the negative mass, those particles that he talks about, this way of explaining this. Well, we can create that using polaritons, using squeezed light, using the optical technologies and these metamaterials. And this is I think the path to the future. When we understand a lot of this stuff and are able to build things, we need to work up to this. I guarantee you, this is what that Roswell material is, if that exists. I'm pretty sure that something like that existed. This would be the limit of it. People out there like to talk about like, oh, who knows? This is probably thousands of years advanced. We'll never get there. We're at the great filter now, bitches. Like, this is it. Like, humanity either needs to, like, we're building stuff on the atomic level. You can't go any smaller than that. Like, that's the limit. That's all there is, man. There's plenty of room at the bottom, right? Just like there's plenty of room at the top. It's lots of imagination on the in-between and what we can do with these puzzle pieces and these parts. But we have all the puzzle pieces now to really put our minds together and reverse engineer and figure this stuff out. And that's where this I think is going to be amazing. And combining the whole idea of advanced propulsion with, the idea of, aliens and UFOs, and taking the stigma away from those things. So that scientists can talk about these things more openly and push the field forward, man, because that's, it's got to be what it is. It's got to be, the only thing that can happen is for people like, us to push that envelope, push it as far as we can, and then, the other physicists to reel us back in and be like, oh, no, that won't work, and that won't work, right? Oh, but this might. And we find that one thing in the puzzle where it says, oh, well, this might be the way to do this warp drive stuff, and, how do we do it? And then we try to, that's what I've been about doing, is trying to track down all the science, and, we figure out everything that doesn't work, so we can figure out the one thing that the physicists and all our top scientists are saying will still work or could still work, because they've eliminated all the other stuff. Really good physics, really good experimentation. There's no conspiracy. I've never found any evidence of a conspiracy. I've never found conspiracy is really hard in science, because you can't get everyone to write a paper saying, electromagnetism doesn't exist, when, anybody in their laboratory can go out there and take a measurement and be like, well, yeah, it does. Faraday's law seems to be holding in my laboratory. It's not like you can just straight up like fake this shit. You can't just you can't have a conspiracy to, the same way. There is different. I'll talk about conspiracies in science, because it's real interesting, because there have been cases of well, look, for example, right, medical science. You look up the Journal of JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Science, and you can find, studies that have been done on the outcomes of research based on funding, the funding considerations. So it's basically like, we're going to give the answers to our boss or whatever they're paying us to find with our study. And that happens quite a bit in science. So there is, conspiracies that occur on those levels with, like a drug trial for a new drug, where they do these clinical trials, and they fudge all the numbers and all the data so that they can be like, yeah, it's safe, here, give us the FDA, recommendation, and it passes. That's more of a believable and conspiracy than to think of all of the mainstream physics is engaged in a conspiracy to hide the truth or really cover up for it. Of course, it doesn't require a conspiracy. It just requires, a lot of people call it a conspiracy, but it's really just, this is the way it evolved and developed. This is how our knowledge of all this stuff came from, essentially, us banging on rocks in a cave trying to create a fire out of sticks, and rubbing two sticks together to where we are today. So you have to understand, your sources and all this, and where we came from to get here, and that it's not necessarily a conspiracy that all of science is lying to us or covering it up. It's just they're going at it from their level of understanding and trying to figure the stuff out. And it's like, yeah, can a goldfish build a warp drive? Probably not, So it. But doesn't mean we can't, right? Yes, light is so much key to this. Light holds the whole universe together. It is the entanglement. It is the Einstein. I believe that light is the ERI, the EPR, ER equals EPR. Light is that Einstein-Rosen bridge between matter, which connects it all, and that there's maybe something more going on with how it all connects and how it all works together, and with the entanglement and whatnot. But thanks, Lauren. When you're not angry and talking the science, you're a fascinating person to listen to. This is what I want to do more of, man, and I'm realizing it more and more that, like, I can't fight these people and win. I can't be the guy to, like, fight all the liars and the frauds out there, because they can just lie faster than I can, like, debunk them, and all I'm going to do is get angry and frustrated with them and get nowhere, and just give them attention and make their believers be like, well, this guy's, look at him huffing and puffing, and so why is he so mad? This guy must be telling the truth. Look at how mad this guy's getting. You know what I mean? So I'm starting to, like, I had a little, I don't really watch myself enough and really reflect upon my own self and how others perceive me enough, and that's been a problem for me. It's been a real bad problem for me, because I just, like, I get in the zone, and I get in this mindset, and I'm just like, go, go, go. It's just like this attack dog that, and I've been ignored. All it does is it's called barking up the wrong tree. You just get ignored, and people are like, oh, what the hell is this dog barking at? And as long as I focus on the solutions and the info, bro, I'll win this. I'll win this all day. Because, people, like, when they start getting all over my info and you start getting into my real data and the research that I do, you can't argue with that shit. You can't. Like, what they do is, I realize the game that's being played against me and why I've been unsuccessful, and I'm really hoping I can change that in 2021 and really focus more on these in-depth, detailed, scientific studies, and trying to, dig into this kind of stuff for people. I think that that's going to be much more beneficial to my audience. It's going to be much more beneficial to me as someone trying to bring the truth out to more people. So yeah, this is what I want to do more of in 2020. Less angry rants, less just more fact-based, nuts and bolts investigations into this stuff. Again. What else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, this is a cool video. I want to show this off. So they create all these kinds of quantum effects just by laser etching different etchings onto the surfaces of materials on the nanoscale. So the nanotechnology is super, super interesting. I want to show people this video real quick. Can you hear it now? You guys can't hear the video. All right, it says it's playing perfectly on my audio thing, right? I just want to show you all. Perfectly on my audio, I can switch sources. It should be playing perfectly. There, that shut it off. And you guys can't hear it. That's insane. Again, no explanation for why they do this, but I think it may be YouTube blocking me doing sound on other YouTube videos to cover other YouTube videos. I don't really understand what's going on. But anyways, I was trying to play the video for you so I could show you what was going on. I have no idea what's going on with that, but we'll figure it out later. Here, this is the action shot. And the water just drips off this surface. It won't even stick to it based on the laser etchings that they did on this create this kind of like surface polarity that just repels water molecules. It's just tuned to the actual geometry of a water molecule. So we just understand the geometry of objects in space. It really has a lot to do with the picture, I believe. So water has a really interesting geometry, and it has a certain bond angle, and then it also has a certain distance, a width, the size of these water molecules. So if you understand those things, you can design the laser etchings on these surfaces to repel water molecules effectively, and so the laser etchings corresponding to the wave these distances or wavelengths will have different interactions. I'm not sure the exact this proprietary information, but this has got to be something about how it works to achieve the effects that are being demonstrated. Is that it has to have some sort of laser etching on the surface of the material in order to interact with molecules in that way. So then comes the question is like, well, what other kinds of effects can we get out of these laser etchings and stuff? And so I talked a lot about that. Where's the other one that I had? Okay, so this is a paper that is worth getting into. I found this through a physics.org article. Here's I'll read the article first. This was scientists predict state of matter that conduct both electricity and energy perfectly. Okay, so a superconductor and energy superconductor, which is really interesting. So 3 scientists from the University of Chicago have run the numbers, and that they believe there's a way to make a material that could conduct both electricity and energy with 100% efficiency, never losing any heat or friction. In a breakthrough published in Physics Review B, here's the paper right here. People that want to go and read it, I'll post it in the live chat. So it has very useful technology and applications in the real world. And though the prediction is based on theory, efforts are underway to test it experimentally. We start out by trying to answer a really basic question. Is it possible to have these, you have these 2 separate states, which are kind of incompatible, but can you actually get them to appear in one material? Both, is there any overlap in on the quantum level where these 2 states can actually become entangled, and so that they reinforce each other? And since an untold amount of energy is lost off power lines, engines, and machinery every year, scientists are eager to find more efficient alternatives, ways to make superconductors. and how to generate and move energy with minimal losses. So electrons are what we're trying to transport around. So when we realize that we can transport water molecules and do different weird things to make these water molecules like super friction, have the super friction with water molecules, what if we made super friction with electrons? What if we found a way to make super friction for electrons and really found out, the way to do that? And if we could do that, say by we make these certain types of wires or these types of layered materials with layered graphene that's just etched, or a material that's just etched to the right wavelength where it corresponds to electrons, then we can make like superconductors for electrons out of just ordinary stuff, ordinary materials that would be superconductive at room temperature, possibly. So this is where science is really working and believes that this is the future, bro. This is it. It's understanding quantum physics, understanding molecules and these core quantum mathematics, and how to manipulate molecules to the quantum states that we want to exploit for our whatever we want to do. We become gods of our universe once we tackle this stuff and are able to really gain control over it on that level, on the level that these extraterrestrials clearly have with the materials that Dr. Gary Nolan. If you look up apparently Dr. Gary Nolan found him through the Jack Valet in the Phenomenon movie. There's a part in the movie The Phenomenon with Jack Valet in it where he goes to Gary Nolan's lab. Let me find the video on YouTube for this. I wanted to show this off. Jack Valet visits Gary Nolan. Where is this part? All right, no, that's Joe Rogan. That's what they want you to watch. I might have to find, I don't know if it's up. It was in the Phenomenon movie. Hold up. Yes. Oh yeah, we got better patents. I should get. I'm gonna send the link out to a Zoom call so I can get some people on here. So that way we can get. I want to discuss some patents and get in on the patents. And you want who's the patent guy is Jeremiah. He loves reading patents. So I'm gonna get Jeremiah in here to. Right now I'm gonna email him, and we can discuss some patents if you guys want to get into patents. Anyone else out there in the chat that I know want a link to the invite? Anyone else in the live chat? Brian? I would love to get Brian Kelly on, man. I don't even know if I have your email, dude. Send me an email right now, thealienscientist@gmail.com, if you want a link to this invite. I'm gonna send it out. I'll send out another one. But there's the invite for you, Jeremiah. Let's get you on here and join with computer audio. Boom. All right, we'll see here. All right, I got the Zoom call started up. And we'll wait for some people to arrive here. But I'm trying to find the Phenomenon. There's a trailer in it. No, it's not the school kids out there and seeing the UFO. Is there a channel for this? James Fox got a channel. I swear I found a video on this, and now it's gone. All right. That's weird. But anyways, Dr. Gary Nolan, he goes in the Phenomenon movie, he goes to Dr. Gary Nolan's lab. There may be some screenshots of it. If not, I'm going to put some up on my website and I'll get a link to this video and find it and put it up. But they've been going in and doing this analysis. I forget the name of the machine that they didn't even talk and say the name of the machine that he was using, and he just said it was like the most state-of-the-art and advanced equipment. But I'd like to find out more what he's director of stem cell biology. So he did some analysis on this thing to determine the structure of the things that were in this material that supposedly came from a UFO that Jacques Vallée had, because Jacques Vallée is like the French scientist who's been studying UFOs for like 50 or more years. So why wouldn't he have pieces of a UFO of all the cases all the sites he's been to and all the cases he's studied? And according to and apparently a lot of these pieces of metal that these UFOs crap out, right? Apparently, these UFOs like to crap out chunks of weird-looking metal, and yeah, that's the Bob White artifact. Pooped out by a UFO. Anyone has any UFO poop? Please send it to me at the lab. We would like to examine it, and I'm very serious about it, though. We really would like to get like real pieces of UFO debris, so we could do some legit, bring it to a bunch of like legit labs and do that would be awesome. Oh, it shut off the volume, and you're live now, man. Check your send. All right, sweet. Invite for now. I can't do it. He's not shaved or showered. It's a bad hair day. All right, man. No worries. Well, I'm going to get Brian Kelly on a future episode, hopefully. Brian, if you want to actually put together a presentation, a 1-hour presentation on what you're working on, and just send a outline, a rough outline to me and Tim Ventura. I'll make sure he gets you on APEC for an upcoming show. That would be awesome. So, UFO Jesus, yes, that's right. You'll be coming on as UFO Jesus. Just throw a robe on. Just throw a Jedi robe on. You'll be good. So we got Jeremiah. You want to start your screen? Do a screen share or something? We can. You can show us some of these. And
wanted to get logged in here real quick, and I'm still kind of setting up.
No worries, man. Take your time.
Shortly, and we can talk about some weird ones. So why don't you give me a little while here to get set up? I didn't know you wanted to do screen share, but yeah, it's something that was something you wanted to talk about. You can always talk John Quincy Sinclair.
Yeah, huh? That would be cool. And then
I'm gonna convince you one of these days to take a deeper look into that stuff, because I know everybody hates John's patents, but I am at a loss as to why. I know that they were never actually granted. I know they were left in application status, and he talked about some really weird things. And I think maybe the reason why everybody hates Mr. Quincy's stuff so much is because he went and delved into some really weird topics and told some stories. He was just walking through Wall's training system and whatnot. But what about his magnetic wormhole generator? What about his rotating electric field system? Maybe a lot of this stuff is really standard physics, just taken to the extremes. Like, what happens if you take what we already understand about pH curves and magnetics, and what we understand about space-time and its magnetic saturability, or what its permeativity is, and we just take those numbers to the extreme and really compress as much energy into a small volume as we can. What kind of weird stuff happens? He basically gives us a formula in the wormhole generator patent to do exactly that, which is why I'm confused as to why nobody is interested, because it would cost $500 to literally test his claims. And nobody's doing it. Nobody wants to touch it.
Hey, I'll do it. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to test anyone and everyone's claims.
Parts from the metal supplier that he specifically tells you to order the parts from in the patent.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I look forward to seeing that from you, because this is why I like to have a team with just different people with different perspectives, because they might look into something that I've just written off completely and entirely. Because the reason I don't buy John Quincy Sinclair is that TR3B patent has absolutely taken over, and you find nothing about, you search TR3B and patent, or TR3B or any kind of thing like that, you find nothing about the kinematic fields or the rotating mercury engines and stuff that they like. You find nothing about that rotating mercury research anymore, and all you find is the John Quincy St. Clair stuff, and that was done in part by third. And What?
Can't hear Jeremiah.
You can't hear Jeremiah. Why they can't hear you, dude?
As usual, nobody can hear me. The audio never works right, it seems.
Can you hear him now, man? What the fuck, dude?
Nope, I guess not.
Can you hear me? Can you hear him now?
Okay, hold on. I have an idea. And let me see if I can artificially bump it on my end to push through your stream.
Why is it doing this?
You can't hear him at all.
Hey, how about now? Can you guys hear me?
It's not on your end. It's not on your end. They should be able to hear my audio. They should be hearing everything that's coming through my speakers should be fucking heard. And I just did an update on OBS software right before I started the stream. And maybe that's the fucking problem. Can you talk?
Yeah, sure. Here we go. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Just keep talking and like.
Yep, check. Okay. Checking. Transmission audio test. Level test. Are we coming through? Can anyone hear this? Probably not.
You can just open the audio.
Hold on. Let me just fucking. I cannot, dude. I'm really like.
Oh, wait, hold on. Someone says I sound better now. Still no audio yet from someone else.
Still no audio. Like everyone's different. It's like 3 people get it and then nobody gets it and then.
Did you try these?
It might be people caught in the back stream, like they're behind 4 minutes and they're just yelling because they can't hear because it went out on that point. Yeah, because it drives me nuts because we get it working and then they get these comments no sound, and I'm just like, oh no, it's not working, but it really is, and it's just and then by then I've already switched it to another thing to try something else. You know what I mean? So it's like, nope, you got to go back and. All right, so everyone can hear him now, right? Let's go back. We're talking about John Quincy Sinclair and who is John Quincy Sinclair? Third phase of the moon blew up this patent when it came out, said it was the TR3B, and now like all the search engines, if you search TR3B stuff, you can't find any theory on kinematic fields or rotating superconductors or any of that kind of stuff anymore. It's all this John Quincy Sinclair patent. That's the main reason I'm of the opinion that that's bogus and disinformation. And again, I could be wrong. So this is why we have other people on this team. Yeah, huh?
Click this right here. Click this right here.
Hey, everybody that's
Okay.
if you're watching this, just make sure that you bump your time marker all the way ahead so that you're streaming live right now. Because if anybody's behind, we could still be having audio issues where you're at in the video. So I don't know if audio is coming through clear or not for everybody.
I know it. Click. There's that. Roll down a little further. Roll down a little further.
You hear it now?
Level test 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, the mix.
1, 2, 3.
You need to have the mix up too. Scroll this bar down here.
Yeah, Travis is here. He's my sound guy, my sound engineer. He's about to get fired.
Good properties there.
All right, come on, man. No, this is just the webcam, man. It's the web capture fucking device properties. It's not.
Video capture. Go down. There's a bunch of. Oh, okay.
Oh, it's just not gonna work, dude. All right, I'm just gonna have to drop the call until we get like
Yeah, so be it. No one can hear it. It doesn't matter.
It's fucking stupid, dude. All right, you want to try Discord? You want to try? I'm gonna leave Zoom and.
How about we just
So, no, I don't even think that will work. Let's just turn up the speakers here so people can hear you on my microphone.
turn it down. Oh,
No, that's not gonna work. It's just gonna feed back, dude. Let's just no. I can't believe this happens. This is like the government fucking with me, dude. I swear. Like, how is it? I'll show you on my stream. Talk, Jeremiah. See, he's coming through. His audio is perfectly clear. It's perfectly present. It's at the perfectly right level. It's coming through on here. Had it on this. Try again.
Checking again. 10th tries the charm.
They said they could hear you, but then they can't hear you. So
They hear me for a second.
still can't hear him. Still can't hear him. Are you guys just trolling or like Travis will be able to tell? No, because Travis can tell because he's watching the stream in the other room to make sure. So he'll be able to tell. You know, for sure. So we don't have this problem. You know what I mean? This is why I have to have a guy like this because it just happens on every single stream whenever I try to talk to anybody or bring people on. It's like they're just letting me know, like, look, if you try to bring people on and tell the truth, we're gonna shut you down.
It's pretty funny if we are being trolled. That would be hilarious.
Listen, guys, we're watching you. We know about we know you're learning about John St. Clair and his walking through walls training systems. You know, soon you'll be able to develop these psychic abilities and you'll be able to walk through walls yourselves if you keep reading these patents.
Man, whether or not my audio is coming through, just pull up the John Quincy St.
Okay. Magnetic wormhole generator patent.
Yeah, I got the
Whoa! Look at this. Someone posted this as a parody. Space Corps US. This says 307. This has got the John St. Quincy. This is on Twitter. Holy shit, dude! Holy shit! It's on the live chat. That's on Twitter. Go check that out, dude. Oh, I don't know how it got to Twitter. It just looked up John Quincy St. Clair on Twitter for me, and then this came up. That was gold. That was like on cue. I don't know, man. Hey, whoever's in the government hacking into my computer, making me see this, man. Thank you. Thank you. Jesus, I did not mean to do that. But okay, so what was the John Quincy St. Clair? What was the name of the patent?
Let me say, magnetic vortex wormhole generator QS2003019709.
Jesus, I'm starting to get hungry, man. I wish I could just hand it off to somebody else to talk for a little while so I can go grab a fucking bite to eat, but I can't even do that. I can't even put a video on and show people a video on in the background because nothing works.
John got it figured out. You should ask him because he's got audio streaming now. And it took him a while to get it working. We spent about 30 minutes back and forth just trying to play around with the audio stream and get it so that I could hear his videos. But he's got it figured out through OBS.
Okay.
A bunch of stuff to it. He might be able to help you.
All right, I'm going to put you on like that. Now they can hear you through my mic with the headphones because I can hear you fine on my fucking...
Well, that's good, I guess. Yeah, okay, so see if you can find that magnetic wormhole generator patent. Or
All
if
right.
you need, I can
I'm looking for the wormhole generator patent. I think I got the wormhole generator patent. I'm going to put it up on the screen. And I'll give you a screen share if you can do that. But I'll just leave this up for now if people want to check that
I'd
out.
rather have you pull it up because with all the streaming issues, maybe it's just best that I don't try to max the bandwidth with the screen share.
Turn up the headphones. Oh, no, it's because the headphones are now on it. Yeah. So it's gonna pick up the feedback no matter what. You gotta
Try it again.
turn down your mic when he talks. If you turn down your mic, then
Why don't you? I need to get something to eat. I'm just gonna end the stream because it's not working and we're losing viewers really quick. Hey, I'm gonna start the stream up in a little bit. I guess this one's getting kind of long now. Anyway, it's already at 2 hours, so I'm gonna end this stream. I'm gonna end the stream right here. I'm gonna go get something to eat, and I'm gonna go and figure out our fucking audio issues and bang them the fuck out, so we don't have this fucking annoying problem. And then we'll come back, and I'll see you guys in about an hour. You can come back, and we'll be live in about an hour, in like an hour. Sorry for the technical difficulties. You can blame the Federal Communications Commission. Yes, I'm gonna go right to the FCC right now. Yeah, peace out, guys. So we'll start this up in a little bit. I'm gonna go get something to eat.